What is up, everybody? Phantom Darkness 135 here. We're going to put a hold on games for a bit, and today we're going to do something that I've had on the board for a while, another programming tutorial. You guys have loved, we worked with Python so far, we worked with C++ and Perl a little bit, so you guys have given me some very, very positive feedback on those. I appreciate that. Please continue to give me all feedback, positive or negative, so I can make these better for you. Today, we're going to work with Java. Java is awesome. It is a higher level language. For those of you who do not know what that means, it's higher level than C++ per se. A lot of people wouldn't call it a very high level language, but what it means is the developers give you a lot of the code in the libraries in the Java API so that you don't have to worry about the underlying workings of all these functions and all these objects. You can focus on getting your application done. And the other best part of Java is that it's platform independent. It can run on any machine, and that's why you see it all over the place. I'm going to be conducting this programming tutorial just like I have in the past. I'm going to be speaking in completely basic terms for the most part. I think if another programmer sees this video, they're probably going to have issue with the way I explain things, or I might get things wrong. I'm just a student myself, but everything's going to be in the very basic terms because I want anyone, even if you haven't programmed before, to be able to understand how to make this program. And I hope we have some fun. Today I tried to find something that was semi-fun, a tic-tac-toe game. So we're going to make a short little simple tic-tac-toe game. Hopefully when we're done, it'll be completely functional. And I'm going to show you what you need to do first right now. I'll add a little annotation or something to skip to the actual programming part. But first I'm going to explain how to get to this screen right here. So we're at the Netbeans Ide, that's Integrated Development Environment 8.0. That's just the version I have installed. You might have a different version. I'm not sure if there is a, let's see. If you go under Help and About, it'll tell you everything you need to know. So I've build 2014 yada yada yada. So that's the one I have. There might be a patch 1.1. There might be a more updated one out there. I have Java 1.7045. I'm pretty sure there's a newer version of Java there. If you want that newer version, all you have to do is go to netbeans.org/downloads, and it will give you all the downloads you need. For this program, you're just going to need the Java SE. I have the Java EE because the Enterprise Edition, because I do a little more programming with it. Or you can just go for it all and get all of it. But if you're saving space and just want to do it for experimental purposes, I recommend the Standard Edition Java bundle. So, that being said, you'll download NetBeans. You'll get a screen like this when you open up after you set all your settings, of course. And what we're going to do is start a new package, or create a new package, I guess I should say. The package is just a way to organize your application, and it helps the Java development environment. What am I trying to say? JRE, the Java Runtime Environment, find your project. There's so many different Java terms out there. I hope you can keep up with me because I can barely keep up with it myself. So Java application, we're going to start a new Java application. There's several, as you can see, several different things you can do with NetBeans besides Java. We'll just call it Tic-Tac-Toe. I'll just stick it in my downloads folder. Down here is our package name. We could change it if we want to. I think I'm just going to leave it at Tic-Tac-Toe. And then it will create our main class. This is our main class name right there. So it'll do that. And there's a couple of ways we could go about programming this. For the sake of organization, I'm going to break things up a bit. So let's say we'll make a new class. Over here you have, by the way, let me just go through and explain this. You have your project, you have your source packages. Under the source packages you have the Tic-Tac-Toe package, and this is the file we have open right now, a Java file. This, it put together a little template for us. It's got a package there, it's got a public class. Classes are just very, very hard concept to put into simple terms. It's a collection of functions. This is a function right here, and data, and it's essentially the atom, if you will, of the programming world. The classes and structures, they're what allow us, or at least the object-oriented programming world. We can make several objects in reality, like a watch or a clock or a car, and we can imagine them as classes in programming, and from there we can make, okay, what are some functions that a car has it can drive, so maybe we'd make a public, oops, if I could spell, we could make a drive function, if I could type it all. It's been a while since I've been programming, so this will be good for me. And apparently it's been a while since I've written anything because I can't spell at all. So we can make a drive function, or we could add some data. So what does a car have? A car has wheels, so wheel, front wheel, or actually by the Java standards it'd be camel case. Camel case meaning that when you program, some people like to do something like this, where you have an underscore in between the names to separate the words. Camel case is the one I prefer. You have the first word is undercase, second word is lowercase. So you'll see me using that. All right, enough about the background on the classes and everything. All you need to know is that our class Tic-Tac-Toe is going to be running our program essentially. This is the main class that will the Java runtime environment will run off of. We will work on that in a bit. As I was saying, back to organization, I'm going to make a new file, new Java class, and we'll call it Tic-Tac-Toe frame. And I'm just doing this so we can keep ourselves organized and you guys can see the different workings and how they go into this. Okay, so this it generated a javadoc comment for me. I'll address javadoc at the end, and I'll show you how it's really cool. It can do a lot of things. But I will be using javadoc, and if you want to use a standard comment in Netbeans, it's the same / that you've probably seen in other programming languages if you've programmed before. Javadoc is pretty cool. It's a /**. It'll automatically put an author thing in there, and we can just add a little description. So this is a simple little tic-tac-toe game. And the reason it says Jeff everywhere is Phantom Darkness 135 does have another name. It is Jeff. So sorry, it's not a very impressive name, but it is what I was given. Alright, enough talk. Let's get programming. So the first thing we're going to do, need is to import some packages that Java gives us. So java.awt, AWT, I actually need to look that up myself because I believe it was abstract window, guess I should specify. Java AWT, abstract window toolkit. This was before Java Swing, which I'll explain in a second. And it has, but they kept using a lot of the AWT objects and methods. So we still have Java AWT showing up in our programs. That little asterisk I put after Java AWT means all, so I'm importing every package from java.awt. And then we need every package from the event subpackage, and we're going to need Swing. The thing with Swing, I'm going to be using Swing in this program. There is a new standard for GUI, which is graphical user interface, called JavaFX that has just been developed within the last couple years or year maybe. And so Swing is going to be obsolete soon. Oops, I forgot Java. We need JavaX for Swing. But it still serves its purpose, and it's very easy to work with. Apparently, I have not worked with JavaFX yet, but apparently it's even easier to work with. So we'll do that. We have our public class here, which is a frame. I'll explain frames in a bit. But first, we need to specify that this is in fact an extension, or what you might have heard as a subclass or a child class of the JFrame, which is already provided to us, which I was talking about in a bit. It's in the Swing package, right there. A JFrame is just a window, so if you saw all this NetBeans thing, if this was a Java program, the NetBeans window here would be a JFrame. It's just it's a container that you can put other things in its simplest terms. So we're going to make it extend JFrame, and what that does is we can use all of the methods that are in JFrame as well as establishing our own. So when we first start out, I'm using it's pretty new source material for this program. player, or whose turn it is a good way to say it. Whose turn it is. First thing we're going to do to establish whose turn it is make a character. Private just means that no other class outside of this class right here can access this member. So to establish a character, you just use char or car. I don't know. Several people call it different things. It's just char. That's how you set a character. We'll call it whose turn, and we'll make it x turns first. And as with most programming languages, you want to end every statement with a semicolon. Don't forget your semicolons. Also, I might be getting too detailed here, but you'll notice that characters will be established with one quote, and the strings will be established with double quotes. No, it doesn't matter. Just very, very detailed things. I'll try to keep it more general. So the next thing we need to do is we need a grid in which to play the game. So we'll make oops, I meant semicolon. So we'll create cell grid. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a cell. We'll make it private. What this is going to be, it's called a two-dimensional array. So basically, this establishes an array. If you did cell, private cell, array, cells, that's just the name, equals new cell array 3. So what this does is it makes a cell array. We don't have, it's given us an error because we haven't established what a cell is yet. We're going to make that class in a minute. But it's giving us, when you put this little square bracket symbol there, you're going to make an array, which is just a collection. So this just makes 3 cells. So if you saw them in a visual, it'd be a box, and a box. What we want is a grid, though. We want an array of arrays. So we're going to make a two-dimensional array. And you can have multi-dimensional arrays in any programming language. It gets really complicated when you get beyond two-dimensional, but it's really cool what you can do with them. So we're just going to make a 3x3 grid. It's still going to keep red underlining that because it doesn't know what a cell is. And the other thing I forgot to mention, the reason we're using Netbeans, there's several other IDEs you could use. There's Eclipse, and you can research all of them. The reason I enjoy Netbeans is because it has stuff like this where it has error checking. It's got little suggestions here. It's got code complete. So if I did system.out. and then pressed, I think it's control space, you could, well, if there's something, let me try .p. Okay, it doesn't have any suggestions. Maybe that's just for, okay, there you go. So if you press control space, you can see all the suggestions it has for what you might want to type. Excuse me, let me get a drink. So much better. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a little label, and easily enough they're called J labels. So create a status label. These are all comments. These aren't read by the machine at all. They're just for our reference. So J label, oops, it needs to be a capital L. We'll call it, usually what you want to do is you want to label all your labels with J label first, and then call it, so we'll call it status. And we're just going to make that a new J label. And what this argument I'm passing here is that was a bad sentence. What this argument is a what you want the text of the label to be. Sorry, I'm trying to read off my little cheat sheet here and type at the same time and then talk to you guys. You all know how great I am at that. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we need to make a constructor. What a constructor does is when the program is run, or when the object is created, I should say. So when an instance of this class, or a Tic-Tac-Toe frame is created, the runtime environment will go to the constructor to see what it needs to do to create said object. So we're going to make that public. So we're going to make a panel to hold the cell. So it's just called a JPanel. JPanel is similar to a JFrame, except that a JFrame holds JPanels. JPanels are just ways to organize all the different elements you're going to have in your frame. So we'll just call it a panel. equals new J panel. And what we're going to do is establish a new layout for that panel. So this means is we're going to have, let's see, how did I get the, there's a way to, oops, not that. There's a way to have it show you the arguments. I cannot remember what it is. But basically we're going to make it 3 rows by 3 columns. And then, let's see here. We don't need any of these arguments. Wish I could figure, oh, there it is. It's Control P. So it shows you what arguments you're passing here. So the number of rows, an integer, number of columns, an integer. Horizontal gap and vertical gap we're not going to worry about. That's just the gap, the spacing gap between the cells. We don't want any spacing between them, so we're going to leave that blank. And I have a little grid layout preview. Oops, I need another parentheses there. A layout preview here for grid layout. The default one for JFrame, and I believe JPanel as well, is border layout, which looks like this. So you can establish if you want an element in the north, on the west, on the center, on the east, and the south, and it will arrange it for you. A grid layout is exactly how it sounds. So we made 3 rows by 3 columns. This is a 3 rows by 2 column grid layout, but it essentially looks the same as that. And once we run the program, you'll see it looks just like Tic-Tac-Toe board. So what we need to do is fill that grid panel with new cells. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating a for loop. You've probably seen this if you program before. It's one of the most essential programming syntactical elements there are. I know that was a weird sentence. It's a very key piece to programming. So what it's saying is it's similar to a while loop. So while this is true, do this. So for an initial integer I equal to 0, while I is less than 3, keep incrementing I after you, oh, we got a double for loop here. J equals 0, J is less than 3, J plus plus. Panel.add cells I, J. Okay, so there's a lot going on in just these 3 lines. So basically what we're doing is we created a cell grid called cells, or 2-dimensional array, I'll call it a grid, called cells. And what we're doing here is we're adding that grid, each cell of that grid, to the panel. That's why we established a grid layout of 3 by 3. And while we're adding it to the panel, we're also creating it using the cell constructor, which we still have yet to write. That's why it's giving me another red underline there. Sorry, I'm so stuffed up today. Allergies. There we go. So once we establish the cell class and get our constructor written, it'll make a lot more sense on what that is doing for us. For now, just know that it's adding all of those cells to the panel, and then we're going to add the panel to the JFrame. Let's see, we'll make the panel have a border. We'll set the border, set it to a new line border. That's just a basic border you'd see around a box or a window. And I forget okay, so we'll make it 1 pixel thick. That's not a very big border. It would be just enough to make it look pretty. There's a, oh, sorry about that, I had a phone call. Let's see. So, we set a border as 1 pixel thick, yada yada. Where are we here? Alright, so, JLabel status. We're going to set a border for the status as well. What that'll do is it'll give us a little box at the bottom of the game board that'll show whose turn it is. So we'll set the border to a new line border. We'll make that one yellow. There we go. And again, we'll make it 1 pixel thick. That'll be enough. So we got 2 borders, one on our panel, one on our little status label. And then the add function is going to add that panel to our frame. So we're going to add the panel. We're going to put it at border layout dot center. It'll be right in the middle of our frame. And we're going to add the JLabel to the very bottom, which is border layout dot south. Capital. Alright, so that will set up our frame. That's our constructor right there. Let's see what else we need here. We're going to need a function to tell if the game board is full. So let me go ahead and I should be using some JavaDoc here. So you say JFrame to hold tic-tac-toe board. Oops, board. And then we'll make a little thing here. It says constructor. No argument constructor. No argument means we don't pass anything to it. That's why it has no arguments within those parentheses. And this will be another no argument function here. Public Boolean. A Boolean just means, for those of you not familiar with the term, I wasn't familiar with it until I did programming, true or false. That's what a Boolean is. Is full. And what this function will do is check if the game board is completely full, meaning it's a tiebreaker or maybe someone has won on the last turn. So determine if game board is full. And then you see JavaDoc added a little @return thing here for us that's asking us for what the return value is. So we'll say return value is true if game board is full. Oops. Otherwise, false. Now my phone's going off again. Oof. Alright, public boolean is full. Let's see. So for this, we're going to do a similar to, in fact, I can probably just copy and paste this 3-line for loop here. Oops, why did it go up there? So instead of adding it to a panel, though, we're going to check if cells. By the way, this notation, I meant to say this before up there. This notation is saying, so if I is at 0 and j is at 1, cell 0, 1 is everything counting starts from 0 in programming for the most part. So if you have a grid of 3, so 1, 2, 3, 0, 1 would be the 0th row at the first column. So not the 0th column, but the first column. So in a tic-tac-toe board, it would be the top middle column. So cells 0, 0 would be the top leftmost cell, and so on and so forth. So we'll do a get token, which we'll establish in a minute, equals a space, meaning that there is no token there, return false. And so it's going to go through the whole grid, and if there's even one token that is empty and has a space there, we're going to return false because that means the board is not full. Otherwise, we're just going to return true. So if that if statement is never true, the return false will never be evaluated, and we'll go down here and return true, in other words. So now we need to let's see. Oh, we'll make the get token method in the cell class. The other thing we need for this class is if the game is won. So let's go ahead and write the actual thing first. Public is 1. This time we're going to pass a character, which is the token that's in a cell. So for int, is this the same thing? No, it's just I this time. So I equals to 0, I is less than 3, I plus plus. We're going to, if cells I 0 dot get token. Okay, I see where this is going. Hold on 1 second. I'll fast forward to the end of this. Alrighty, finally got that finished. Let's go ahead and make the java.comment comment for it. So determines if a given token has 1. So our parameter here is the token token to test for winning, and the return value is true if the token has 1. Let me make that a capital. Otherwise, false. So winning means, classic tic-tac-toe terms, You either have one in a horizontal line, or your token 3 times in a horizontal line, 3 times in a vertical line, or 3 times diagonally this way or this way. So we check the rows. For every row, 0 through 3, we look at the first column, the second column, and the third column, or 0th column, first column, and second column. And if all 3 of them are the same token, then the token has won. We return true. Check the column, same thing, except we have J now, and we're working with the other part of the two-dimensional array. For the diagonals, we check the top left cell, the middle cell, and the bottom right cell, and also the other diagonal, which is the top right cell, the middle cell, and the bottom left cell. Oof. And then if all of these evaluate or don't evaluate to true, we know that the token has not won, so we return false. Alrighty, so the next thing we need to do, so this will end, let me bring this up here, close this space. This ends our Tic-Tac-Toe frame class. We're going to go ahead and save this real fast. Just quick save, you can Control-Shift-S, that'll save all the files open. You can see it gives us a little warning here because we still have not established a cell, so we're going to do that right now.